You know that feeling, don't you? That sudden tightness in your chest when they laugh a little too freely with someone else. The way your fingers hover over their phone, even though you promised yourself you'd never be that person. The shame that follows the accusations you made at midnight, the ones you wish you could take back in the morning light. If you've ever felt jealousy coil around your heart like a serpent, if you've ever watched your love become a prison guard instead of a sanctuary keeper, then you already know the dark, consuming fire we're about to explore together. Because jealousy and love isn't just an emotion, it's a haunting, a possession, a psychological storm that reveals everything we're terrified to admit about ourselves. Here's what nobody tells you about jealous lovers. They're not crazy, and they're not weak. They're wounded. Deep in the architecture of their mind, there's a blueprint drawn in childhood, sketched with invisible ink that only intimacy can reveal. When you fall in love with someone who struggles with jealousy, you're not just dating them, you're meeting every person who ever made them feel disposable, every parent who gave love conditionally, every early attachment that taught them that affection is a scarce resource to be hoarded and protected. Neuroscientists have found that jealousy activates the same neural circuits as physical pain. Yes, you read that right. When a jealous lover imagines you with someone else, their brain lights up in the anterior cingulate cortex and insular cortex, the exact same regions that scream when you touch a burning stove. They're not being dramatic when they say it hurts. Their nervous system genuinely cannot tell the difference between imagined betrayal and actual bodily harm. But let's go deeper, because the psychology of jealous lovers is far more nuanced than we've been led to believe. There's a beautiful, tragic paradox at the heart of their behavior. They love you so intensely that they cannot fathom their own lovability. Think about that for a moment. The same person who checks your location, who needs constant reassurance, who questions your every smile at a stranger, they're not doing this because they don't trust you. They're doing it because they don't trust the universe to let you keep you. Somewhere in their psychological history, they learned that good things are temporary, that people leave, that love is always conditional and finite. Attachment theory, pioneered by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, reveals that anxious attachment patterns develop when caregivers are inconsistently available in childhood. The child learns to be hypervigilant, always scanning for signs of abandonment, always trying to control the uncontrollable. And that child, decades later, becomes the lover who reads your text messages 3 times looking for hidden meanings, who needs to know where you are not because they want to trap you, but because uncertainty feels like drowning. We live in a culture that vilifies jealousy, that treats it like a character flaw or a red flag that should send you running. But what if I told you that jealousy, in its raw form, is simply love that hasn't learned to trust? What if the real problem isn't the jealousy itself, but what we do with it? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. A small amount of jealousy is actually psychologically normal and even adaptive. From an evolutionary perspective, mate-guarding behaviors helped our ancestors protect valuable relationships and ensure reproductive success. The problem isn't that jealous lovers care too much, it's that their protective instincts have become prison walls. Healthy jealousy whispers, "This relationship matters to me." Toxic jealousy screams, "I will burn everything rather than risk losing you." The line between the two is measured in self-awareness, in the willingness to look at your own reflection and ask, "Am I protecting this love, or am I slowly suffocating it?" There's a moment that happens in every relationship with a jealous lover, a moment most people never talk about. It's when you realize that no amount of reassurance will ever be enough, because the doubt doesn't live in your actions, it lives in their self-concept. You could spend every second of every day proving your faithfulness, and still they would find something to fear. Because jealousy isn't really about you at all. It's about the story they tell themselves when they look in the mirror, the narrative that says, "I am not enough." Cognitive behavioral therapists understand this well. They know that beneath every jealous thought is a core belief, usually formed in early life, that whispers, "People always leave me," or "I'm only loved when I'm perfect," or "If they really knew me, they wouldn't stay."
These beliefs run like malware in the background of their consciousness, distorting every interaction, turning innocent conversations into evidence of their worst fears. And the cruelest part, the more they act on their jealousy, the more they push away the very person they're desperate to keep close. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, a psychological trap where their fear of abandonment creates the abandonment they feared. But let me tell you something that might save a relationship, or at least help you understand why yours couldn't be saved. Jealous lovers can heal. Not overnight, not with one conversation or one grand gesture, but through the slow, painful work of rebuilding the foundation of their self-worth. When a jealous person begins to understand that their value isn't determined by someone else's attention, when they start to see that love doesn't have to be earned through constant vigilance and control, something shifts. The therapy office becomes a place where they can finally face the frightened child inside them, the one who learned that people are unreliable and that safety is an illusion. Through techniques like cognitive restructuring and mindfulness, they can learn to observe their jealous thoughts without becoming them, to feel the fear without letting it hijack their behavior. They can discover that the opposite of jealousy isn't blind trust, it's self-security. The quiet confidence that says, if this person leaves, it will hurt, but I will survive because my worth isn't contingent on their presence. So here's what I want you to understand, whether you're the jealous lover or the one who loves them. Jealousy is a messenger, not a monster. It arrives with information about old wounds, unmet needs, and the fundamental human terror of being alone. The question isn't whether you'll feel it, we all do, in varying degrees, but whether you'll let it teach you something about yourself. Because the most profound relationships aren't the ones without jealousy, they're the ones where jealousy becomes an opportunity for deeper intimacy, where you can say, I feel scared right now, instead of, you're making me feel this way. They're the relationships where love doesn't demand perfection, but creates enough safety for healing. So ask yourself tonight, in the quiet space between who you pretend to be and who you actually are you loving someone or are you trying to possess them? Are you protecting your heart or are you building walls so high that love itself cannot reach you? And if you recognize yourself in these words, what would it take for you to finally believe that you're worth staying for, just as you are?